Hello, my butterfly friends. Welcome to day 5 of 30 days of Annie posting videos because she's trying to get over her technology fears and frustrations. Learned a lot this week, still have a lot more to learn, but let's keep going. Today I'm going to talk about the fifth pillar of my YouTube channel, and that has to do with health and fitness, but not the way you think. Um, I'm working to restore the habitat out in the meadow, but I'm also working to restore the habitat here as well. If you followed Mariposa Meadow for a while, you know that's my mission. I want to build an amazing habitat, native wildflower habitat, encourage people to plant wildflowers. But today I'm going to talk about the kind of restoration that starts inside. Because while I've been pouring my heart into this land and dreams and such, the truth is my own health has slipped into a kind of free fall, frankly, and it's time for that to stop right now before it's too late. And I'm not the only one that has had her health suffer because of overwhelming stress. You know, if you know me personally, you know I've been working on my health for a few years. I used to weigh a lot more. Special needs parenting and a lot of other things. I just didn't pay attention to myself. Caregiving takes a toll. And now, with my husband's chronic illness, his kidney failure, dialysis, diabetes, the daily stress of medical emergencies, we were in the ER Wednesday morning. Um, it's worn both of us down. And it's worn me down tremendously trying to juggle my husband's health concerns, my daughter's special needs. Um, it's just in the quiet hours, I've really started to feel it. The fatigue, the fog, my weight has yo-yoed. I get down and then things get really busy. My weight goes back up. Uh, my blood pressure is now high. Who would think that living a life like I live, if you know me personally, that my blood pressure would be high? Of course, my blood pressure is high. And then being diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune uh, diseases a couple years ago, that was rough. That was really rough. But each one of those issues is this giant red waving flag that something's wrong and that I need to take care of myself. I've hit a point where I can't afford not to take care of my health anymore. So I have to focus on me. Maybe you've been there too. You look in the mirror and you barely recognize the woman staring back at you. Not because of age, although, yes, that too, but because the sparkle's gone, the vitality, the energy. You just look at the mirror blankly, like another day. I realized several months ago that I was just surviving, not thriving. And I know that's not the life that God intends for me. He says abundant life. And I felt like all I had was abundant stress. So I've made a decision. I'm going to treat my body like the sacred ecosystem it is. The Bible tells us that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Well, time for me to start treating it as such. I'm restoring the meadow. Yes, but now I'm also restoring the habitat in my body and in my soul. Scroll my notes up here a little bit. I want to share a few of the steps that I'm taking, not as a prescription. You do you, you do your own research, but as a story, my story. Some of the things that I have begun doing to take better care of myself. First of all, addressing the blood pressure issues. I'm working with my doctor, of course, but I'm also supporting my body with gentle movement, stress management, and herbal nutrition. There's a lot of research that has come out lately about how isometric exercises help lower your blood pressure. Isometric is where the muscle is in contraction, but you're not moving, you're not going anywhere. So simple things like sitting in a chair and then lifting your legs up and holding them helps lower your blood pressure. Or doing what are called wall sits. It's where you go up to a wall and you just slide your back down until it looks like you're sitting in a chair up against the wall, but there's no chair. Just your back and your legs are supporting you against that wall. That's the number one isometric exercise for lowering your blood pressure. Also, uh, sad to say, my blood sugar has started going up, and I'm not going there. My grandmother had uh, blood sugar issues. I've watched my husband struggle with his blood sugar all these years, and I'm not going there. And so I have taken a radical step. First of all, I found out that I couldn't tolerate gluten a few years ago. And yes, it sounds all really trendy, but no, eating things with gluten really does hurt. So I quit eating things with gluten and I only ate rice. Well, now I've eliminated all grains and I've been pretty much grain free with the exception of an occasional little bit of rice for a couple of years now. But since this winter, I've really cracked down on no grains, and it's made such a big difference. And the biggest thing that I've done to keep my blood sugar in check is using not just keto, but going carnivore, which do your research. This is just what I'm doing. I have a lot of food sensitivities, a lot of allergies, and food has just become so stressful for me. I can't eat this, I can't eat that, and it's stressful. The whole household is stressful because my husband's kidney failure, he has a long list of things that he can't eat anymore because they're too high in phosphorus or too high in potassium or too high in something else. And so I'm now doing carnivore, which is basically just meat, eggs, butter, some dairy. That's it. And I'll tell you, the past month when I really cracked down on this carnivore, I felt tremendous. I felt so much better. I'm sleeping better. And one thing I've noticed, my I don't need as much thyroid medication. And I've read and I've watched a lot of YouTube videos by doctors that having a higher level of dietary fat, healthy dietary fat, not seed oils or anything like that, but animal-based fats will heal your thyroid. And I'm finding that's really true. The second thing that I found since I started really focusing on carnivore is my hair is growing back. If you know me personally, you will know that I've really struggled with having lost so much of my hair the past couple of years. Um, Receiving the diagnosis of one of the autoimmune conditions, part of that was losing a lot of my hair. And I'm on camera every day teaching my ESL classes, and the light comes on me like this. And I had this shining little headband, if you will, of scalp that just kind of glowed on camera. And I've noticed lately that there's not so much of a glowing headband. And I have these little baby barrettes that I wear to pull my hair back. I had to buy baby barrettes because the grown-up barrettes were too big and they were just sliding out of my hair because I didn't have enough hair to put in them. Well, now they're getting filled in again. I'm really happy about that. So carnivore is working for me. Research, do your own research. I'm not going to make any prescriptions for anybody else, of course. Another thing I'm doing to help my body is functional fitness. My spine is not great. A little bit of scoliosis, some degenerative vertebrae, some problems there. Um, but I'm seeking out functional, low to no impact exercises to do. For example, like I said, the isometric exercise of just doing a wall sit or lifting my legs gets your heart rate up after a little bit and makes you stronger. I'm doing some weightlifting. We do have an elliptical. We have a rebounder. I'm doing some a little bit on the elliptical. I take walks in the meadow. And the most important thing, it's about building resilience. I have the one of the autoimmune conditions that I now enjoy is that it makes muscle tone very difficult. And I won't get into it, but I have lost a lot of strength the past 3 or 4 years due to this problem. And I'm slowly building myself back. I have good muscle days. I have bad muscle days. I have days where I really struggle just to get through the house, days where it's impossible for me to work outside, but I'm building. I'm building. That's what it's all about. It's about resilience. It's about where you are and moving forward, not sitting there, not lamenting it, but moving forward. Whatever your forward is, maybe your forward is bench pressing 100 pounds. Maybe your forward is walking to the mailbox and back, but moving forward. And finally, stress management. For me, nature is my medicine. I mentioned working with my blood pressure. I'm doing nutritional things like hawthorn, hibiscus, and garlic. And I find, who is it? Aristotle said something along the lines of let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Well, all of our medicines were derived, not all of them, but a good many of them were derived originally from herbal compounds. And so I'm going back and I'm researching a lot of the herbal stuff. So, stress management, I go outside, I walk, I sit and listen to the birds, I sit on our deck and simply breathe. I found, and it's when I get into a stressful situation, I found that I actually hold my breath. And you can't do that and function very well. But I will find that occasionally when I'm not feeling, stress and anxious, that I'll, didn't mean to cough there, but I will kind of gasp a little bit. Excuse me. Here's some of this herbal tea I was just talking about. I go outside, I walk in the meadow, I sit and I listen to the birds on the porch. Oh, I miss the birds so much in the winter when they're there. I listen to the wind and I watch the butterflies out in the fields. And I just reconnect with God that way. He made such a beautiful world. And I really loved sitting out there and just thanking Him for the beautiful world, thanking Him for the way the trees look like ballet dancers as they sway in the wind. I thank Him for the green grass that is just every day keeps getting greener and greener and greener. I thank him for the squirrels, even though in my just previous video I was complaining about the squirrels in the greenhouses. I thank him for the squirrels because I love watching them play in the walnut trees and seeing them. We have a little, it's actually the downspout from our house, but the water was coming out and started digging out the ground a little bit. So I went out there and shoveled a little bit more soil out of the hole. So we have a small de facto bird bath out in our yard. It's not very deep. It's only about this deep, but and it's a mud puddle basically. But the birds flock to it and the squirrels flock to it. And um it was really amusing the day that the crows and the squirrels were discussing dominance at that little watering hole. That's what I do. And going out and just sitting and looking at the daffodils and thanking God for how cheerful they are and how beautiful they are. And I noticed my hyacinths were coming up. And there's a beautiful poem. I often post it on Facebook every spring, I think, about if you only have 2 loaves of bread, sell one and go buy hyacinths, I think is what the poem is saying. I don't remember the exact words. Maybe I can put it in the description here. But I've been using nature to lower my stress level. and looking for any tiny little bit of beauty that I can find. I have to. And here's why. Here's the truth. The sicker my husband gets, and he is very ill, the more I crave flowers and beauty. I really crave them. If I go a day or so where I can't get outside, I have to at least look out the windows. And I have binoculars at the bedroom window and at the kitchen window. So I can watch the birds and I can watch the squirrels. And I just have to, not just for their beauty, but for what they represent to me. They represent life. They represent color, renewal, joy, all of that. God created such a beautiful world, and we must notice it. And it has become part of my worship to give him gratitude, to express my gratitude for the tiny little pieces of beauty. Last summer, I was out pulling weeds and I found a little wildflower growing. I kid you not, this little flower was no bigger than like a pencil lead. It was so small. I tried to get a picture of it with my camera, but it was just so small. All I could get in focus was my thumb. I couldn't actually get the picture. It was so tiny, but it was so beautiful. And I spent those few moments trying to photograph that silly little flower, just thanking God for it. And I was hot and I was sweaty and I was dirty, but my heart was happy because I had spent that time connected with God over something really tiny He created. And maybe nobody else would have seen that. I mean, it was growing in our yard. How many times had I walked over it before and never had seen it, but I saw it that day and it made a difference for me. And so I desperately need the beauty of the meadow, the beauty of nature in my life to balance out the difficult things that are going on. We all need something, back on my notes here, we all need something to hold on to when the world feels heavy. And for me, that's the meadow, the blooms, the butterflies, the bees, the cycle of life coming again and again, even after a long winter. This is why my health journey isn't just about me. It's part of a bigger picture, restoring the meadow habitat, restoring the Annie habitat. When I restore the meadow, I'm giving the pollinators a home. When I'm restoring my body, I'm giving myself the strength to keep going. And when I restore my soul, I'm making space for peace, for purpose, and for praise. And this is just the beginning. I'll be sharing more in this new health and fitness playlist about what I'm learning, what's working, yes, even what's not working, because we're all about real journey here. It's raw and it's not always pretty, but it is always worth it. If you are also in a season of free fall or just feeling disconnected from your body, your health, your spirit, I want you to know you are not alone. Let's rebuild the habitat together in the meadow, in our bodies, and in our souls. If this message speaks to you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, share your story, private message me. What kind of restoration are you working on right now? And until next time, keep your feet on the ground, keep your eyes on the flowers, keep your antennas up for what God is whispering in the wind. Bye bye, butterfly. Stop.